Hello and welcome to our first podcast. This is Pierogi to Perfect English. So, chest I witaj. Hello and welcome. I'm joined by the wonderful Stef, or Effie, as many people know. Say hello, Effie.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for the lovely intro, James.
I don't know if it was much of an intro, but I did say you were lovely.
Oh, should I expand? Tell everyone a little bit about you and our partnership together.
Our partnership, that's a good question. Well, you and I, we've both been, teaching English for a long time, you longer than I. And I think we've developed quite a passion for it and quite a lot of experience over the years. So it seemed very logical to come together on this and do our private teaching like we're doing, but also to launch this podcast series so we could explore different subjects and different areas and some of the challenges when it comes to trying to master English. Say again?
Some of the contrast as well. Two very different accents.
That's true, yeah. So you're Canadian, right?
Yes, and you are speaking the Queen's English from England.
Somewhere. I've got a newsreader voice, apparently, generally speaking. So Canadian is not the same as American, is it?
No, although we sound incredibly similar, I don't take offense when someone says American accent, as we're both North American. And I would say even for a native Canadian, it's almost impossible to differentiate between the two.
Really? Even for a native Canadian? I guess you'd have regional accents across Canada, of course, though, right?
Certainly, if you're East Coast Canadian, our actual second language is French. So those from the east of Canada would have a distinctly strong French Canadian accent. Further east, in a place called Newfoundland, a lot of people are actually from Ireland and have a very, very unique English accent that even for native Canadians is difficult to understand at times.
Okay. Yeah. I remember I went to school with a girl from Quebec, right? The French Canadian area?
Quebec, yeah.
Quebec. I said it wrong. Okay, but yeah, she was basically French. That's what I and everybody else could hear, at least from her voice. She's a nice girl. So today's topic, you and I, we talked about this before, but we thought it might be good to explore, some of the challenges that comes with trying to learn English as a Polish person, and also some of the similarities between the two languages, because bizarrely, there are some things that do mirror or look rather similar, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We even share similar idioms in Polish. I've had a few students share some of the different words in English that are very, very similar in Polish.
Can you think of any idioms that are similar in Polish off the top of your head? I can't.
Oh, there was one just the other day. Yeah, I was like, no, there was literally one the other day. I think it was not my circus, not my monkeys.
Okay, yeah, that's a fantastic one. I love that one. Yeah, I think there's quite a few, and students have mentioned them as we've gone along, but yeah, they've slipped my brain for the moment. So there's quite a few things we wanted to talk about, but we don't want to make a really long and boring podcast. So we're going to kind of jump through things, rather briefly, rather quickly.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah, I thought I would start with one of the worst things to learn about English when you're from Poland. It's the good old TH sound, the th sound.
Yep. It's definitely been the one that I think everyone, my students, and we've talked about this before, and all of your students have had the most difficulty with.
Indeed. Yeah. When I was a kid, I remember even I had problems with this sound, and I had to be assisted by one of my teachers because I kept saying thank you rather than thank you. And I kind of got into a bad habit with it. And one of my teachers noticed it and had to spend some time coaching me, to improve that. But yeah, tricky words I find are through, though, tough, thought, thorough, because they're all spelt quite similarly as well. So those words always, they're very difficult, aren't they?
They are. Thorough is one that stood out.
Oh, you say thorough.
Yes, that's a good point to show the contrast between our accents.
Ah, yes. I'll go with thorough for this, but thorough if you are Canadian. Americans, they say thorough too. US. Yeah. US people.
US people, Americans, same.
Canada's not American. It's North American.
North American. Thank you for that distinction.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to think the geographical classification of Canada. What else, Steph? Are there any other things? We've got they there. I always try and remind people about the word Thursday because most people know that word and they say it correctly, Thursday. So if you can say Thursday, you can probably say through and thought as well.
That's an excellent point. I hadn't really thought of that comparison, but now that you pointed out, I don't think I've ever had a student mispronounce Thursday.
Sure, because learning days of the week is kind of one of the things you learn at the very beginning of your language journey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that sounds normally mastered quite early, but yeah. Okay, so what about the VW thing? In Polish, W doesn't seem to exist, does it? Or am I wrong?
I'm not sure, but I know I've definitely got a few Veronica's names incorrectly, or Victor, several times, misreading it and forgetting about the difference between Polish W and English W.
I wonder, is there a Polish W? Please, Polish people, tell us if there is. I mean, I guess there is. We've seen it written, but it seems to be pronounced with a V in terms of English sounds.
Oh, my poor students, my poor Pavels.
Pavels.
Powell. Victoria.
Yeah. So for me, I would say I would love a glass of red wine, but perhaps a Polish person might mistakenly say, I'd love a glass of red vine.
I mean, at least they're the same family.
Indeed, of course. Grapes grow on vines. That's how we eventually get wine. Good observation. Okay. Steph, before we move on to some similarities between English and Polish, there was a few things that you wanted to talk about, I think, right?
Yeah, it's not the exact same, but I know from speaking a second language, some of the obstacles I face. And I think a biggest part of it, especially for our students, is a confidence barrier. And I'm sure you'll agree on that point. A lot of our students have excellent English. They just have that fear of being wrong.
Where does that come from, do you think?
From what my students have told me, a lot of them say the Polish school system, where they learnt grammar only and they never got to put the language into practice.
That's the problem sometimes by being fixated or kind of fixed on just trying to get all of the rules in place, trying to get everything perfect. It starts to make there's too many rules and it starts to get complicated, and then the whole communication thing kind of breaks down. I often say to students, it's better to be just to understand somebody and for them to understand you, rather than to have like absolutely grammatically perfect English. I think understanding is the point we're trying to achieve. Would you agree?
100%. And I think it's really hard as well when that fear is built into you. that everyone has this anxiety that if they meet someone and they speak in English and they make a grammatical mistake, someone's going to laugh or call them stupid. And that's really not the case. And it was not the case when I learned my second language, and it was full of errors. When I started to speak Indonesian, it was tragic at points, but so many of the locals were so grateful for the gesture, and everyone was so supportive and encouraging that regardless of how many mistakes I'd made, my message was getting across and I could communicate with people. And it encouraged me to want to learn more and fix those errors later, because I was able to understand things differently, finally be able to communicate. And it was so well received. And I think most English speakers are the same, or they're grateful that someone's put in that effort.
In my experience, yeah. I mean, British English people, most of us anyway, are pretty polite, generally speaking, especially to a foreigner. You know, if a Polish person came to England, they would be welcomed, and we would understand that their English wasn't perfect, and there would be an effort made by the native to try and communicate and, you know, understand what that other person is saying, rather than judge them or make them feel bad because their English isn't perfect. It's worth remembering a lot of English people's English isn't perfect. So,
oh, definitely. I think native speakers sometimes grammatically can make just as many mistakes, if not more.
Yeah, definitely. And language changes as well, and grammar. The grammar rules get broken as well, I've noticed. I've been sort of personally studying the English language for, 5 or 6 years myself. And, sometimes I'm surprised at how words have changed meaning, or grammar structures have changed. Some of the rules that we were taught in school are no longer valid, applicable to modern English. So it's a moving target, English, but luckily it's not moving too quickly. It's a fairly steady transformation, I think, over time.
Ain't that the truth?
Beautiful. Okay. All right. We said we wouldn't make this super long, so let's look at some. Well, I've got some notes here actually about some similarities. So these are things to make life a bit easier. So, words that end in. Hang on, where's my notes here? Yeah, words that end in. Where is it? Yeah, ology. So, for example, in English we have biology, psychology, technology, sociology, and so on. From looking at the Polish translations, they're really similar. Biologia, psychologia, technologia. So it's really similar. And we have words that end in graphy, like photography, biography. What else do we have? Choreography.
Geography.
Which one?
Geography. Did you say that one?
Geography was the first one, I think. Yeah. Or maybe I skipped it. I don't know. But yeah. So in Polish, it would be geografia, photografia, biografia, choreografia. Please forgive me if my Polish pronunciation is off. So it seems like quite a lot of words actually have quite similar sounds in between English and Polish. So that's very helpful, right?
Definitely.
Okay. There was other thing I noticed as well, with words that end in shun. So this is words that end in tion. So, but we pronounce it shun. Good example: station. So in Polish, they replace the tion with cja. So informacja, stasia for station, education, edukacja, communication, komunikacja, and so on. So there's quite a few words as well where you can just switch the CJA to a TION, pretty much, and get pretty similar word structure, really. So that's kind of cool. That's helpful.
This is fantastic. You've taught me more Polish with this little mini lesson.
Yeah, well, I'm learning myself as I go along. Okay. Was there anything else that you wanted to raise on our little podcast, our first podcast, Steph?
I think it's great that you've covered some similarities between the languages, that there is a way to connect the two languages to make it easier. Some of the difficulties with the sounds, confidence we've covered. And I would say the biggest things that I tell all of my students is that consistency is key.
Sure.
And ideally, most people learn languages through immersion. For example, it was easier for me to learn living in Indonesia rather than from while I was still overseas. But I still think this is achievable if you can learn English every day, even if it's just a small amount. Someone who learns daily for 5 minutes will learn more than someone who learns for 2 hours.
That's part of the reason why we do the WhatsApp group, right? So there's a daily task or activity for everybody, and it's just a good way to spend 5 or 10 minutes thinking in English, doing little challenges, and they're kind of good fun, I think. So I agree with you. I'll also add to that, I think you've got speaking, reading, writing, and listening. That's the other one.
Yeah.
I try to encourage students to try and practice all 4 of those if they can. So listen to podcasts, listens to ebooks and stuff.
Songs, music in English. Songs or music in English.
Sure. Yeah. That's a nice way to digest. Of course, lyrics don't always make sense. There is that artistic license, as we call it. So sometimes lyrics won't be grammatically correct or anything, but they give the impression, right?
Or it gives you an opportunity to try to figure it out, interpret it for yourself.
Yeah, like working out a puzzle.
Yeah.
Talking, of course, practicing it with us or anybody else in your life that you can practice speaking. Reading, don't underestimate reading. Reading's a great place to discover a deeper vocabulary and to hear different voices, because everybody who writes something or has written something has their own voice, if you like, a voice of their written word. And, I think that's a really good way to kind of process and digest, different vocabulary.
So many of our students are parents, and I always say one of the best things you can do is read to your kids. You're helping teach them another language, and you're enriching your own vocabulary. So it's such a great way to start early.
That's a very good idea. Yeah, and it's kind of fun too, right? Kids books generally quite fun, amusing.
Yeah, it's a good way. It's a win-win situation all around.
We like win-wins. Okay, I think we can end here. Is there anything else you want to add before we say goodbye?
No, hope to get some great ideas from our listeners.
Yeah, please feel free to drop some comments underneath the podcast, and we'll read those and respond to those, and any ideas people have as well, because we want to do this quite regularly. So if anyone's got any great ideas about topics we could discuss or explore, please do let us know. We really welcome that.
100%.
Okay, let's go. Have a lovely evening, Steph. Thank you for taking some time with me today.
You too, James. It's great.
I'm off to watch some football.
I hope. I'm glad we could do this and you still have time.
20 minutes before the game starts, so I'm okay. All right. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.